You're live streaming this one.
Yep, it's just getting started. All right, welcome back to Arena the Contest here. It's Flanks06. Another Kickstarter video for tonight. I got Code here again with me.
Back at it.
Back at it. So this one is probably our hottest update that we've had in quite some time. And when I say that, I mean in terms of the reaction from the community. Uh, which honestly is kind of funny because there really isn't that much information in this. Like not any a ton of new information, but that's actually the I think really the crux of what's going on here. So, if people who don't know, Kickstarter update number 62 this week came out. Alex here is writing basically about what's going on with the shipping situation, and they provide some good amount of photos. So what they showed us here is boxes that were being assembled, and that is not in the logistics centers, but still in China. So basically, what's going on is, and you know, people might have remembered this from a while back, but Dragori has had two manufacturers through this entire process. So they've had their old manufacturer that's been producing a lot of the content from the original game, and then the new manufacturer that has been making all the new miniatures and the new boxes, like the I think like the legendary box, I think is part of the new manufacturer's work. And so, in all of our previous updates, we've been seeing, you know, boxes ready to go, boxes just waiting for shipping containers, boxes sitting at the port just waiting to be thrown, you know, from the port onto the deck of a ship. And then we get this update where it's like, oh no, now the boxes have been brought together from different manufacturers, and now they're being repacked to be shipped out. And it's kind of like it's very deflating because from what the way they were describing everything, and I was gonna actually try to pull up some of the other updates uh, just to talk about it. But from the other updates, that wasn't really obvious. I think they talk about. I was trying to look for what's the update where they actually showed the picture. Uh,
Ooh,
might
it's like
be number 56. Yeah, 56 here. This is the one I'm thinking of. Game production is finished on Starry, which is I believe that's the new one, right?
yes.
Yeah. Waiting for the available container, which QML estimates end of April. Priority is healthcare. We're closely monitoring. Make sure the delay is as short as possible. Here's the pictures of production, and then you see this looks like the actually, this looks like the core box, so maybe that was the original. I think that might have been the original manufacturer. And then, oh yeah, so actually maybe Starry did do the legendary box because they also have the video from them as well. Anyway, so point is, it seemed like that they were just gonna like ship all the boxes, maybe in separate pallets, and then put them all on ships and get them out. But that doesn't seem like it's been the case in update 62 and 62. They're repacking boxes, and I don't know if this is like an idea to try to, you know, like increase, you know, or essentially speed up the process where some things are already like pre-packed or not, but just generally it's pretty deflating because we've all been expecting it to just get out and it's not. So you see all the boxes here and how they're packaging it, which by the way, there's been a little bit of concern on the packaging here where it doesn't look like it's quite enough because it is kind of thinner bubble wrap. And there's not really anything kind of holding them in, but I mean, I wouldn't be too worried. I don't expect them to be moving a ton, I guess, even if it gets into a container ship at this point. Usually you're more worried once it's making that trip from the logistics hub to your house because that UPS driver, he's just, he doesn't care. He's throwing boxes here and there, whatever. And this isn't a call out to specific, UPS drivers or anything. I'm just generally saying for, oftentimes, we give delivery drivers some crap about them having to move big boxes and everything and just making a mess. But anyway, so point is, that should be fine, and the biggest updates being that it still hasn't shipped. There's no end in sight in terms of when it's going to ship. They didn't actually give us a date on that. And additionally, actually it's further down here. Uh, Alex makes a comment about that Tanares Adventures needing 6 months more of development, which makes me a little concerned in some ways, partially because we knew that there was going to be a 6 month delay between the first wave and the second wave. With him saying this here, I don't know if he's referring to that time difference between first wave and second wave, or if he's referring to essentially an additional like 6 months, right? I mean,
Right.
did it seem clear to you?
I mean, 6 months. I mean, I thought at first I thought it was a mistake, and he meant like 6 more months until that gets shipped out. Not they're gonna keep developing for 6 months because if you're gonna develop for 6 more months, the game's not coming to your door, or it's not getting shipped in 6 months. It's gonna be shipped in like 7 or 8 months.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, um, so anyway, we'll kind of see what's going on with that. He mentions about having more information in the future, and then there's this section here about them changing the skill tree, and I just kind of like skimmed over this, but I think there actually is quite a bit of changes to this because they talked about them not using like triggers or time constraints anymore. So it sounds like a pretty big redesign just in terms of the skill tree itself. So that's, I mean, really the development aspect of Tanaris Adventures is a point, but that's not really the big thing that I wanted to discuss tonight. More of it is the reaction from the community. Um, so it's tough to talk about this because people of course are very passionate about the game, very excited about the game, and because of that, it leads to pretty strong feelings on different sides and different perspectives of how people feel about this. And so, obviously, I do a lot of the arena videos, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm the only content creator that exclusively does arena the contest videos. So people probably say I'm biased, um, but I too have been very frustrated and very kind of angry, especially reading this update as well. And I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about it, but I'd say the biggest thing is the communication is horrendous. Like, it's one thing to say, oh, okay, well, every other week we're going to do an update. We're going to provide you all this other information, which is like, okay, cool. But then, like, when they have really conflicting information or it seems like they've left out important details, that makes me really angry and frustrated that, like, and I'm sure for a lot of people, it feels like they're being lied to, right? I mean, like I showed earlier, the picture of where the boxes are sitting on the side, they're ready to go, and saying, "Oh, it's all done." Now they did mention, it's done at the Starry facility, but they kept, I think, trying to find the update where they actually say, is it part two? I think it's part two at the end of this one where they say, "Oh, in the next update, we're going to give you the shipping." Or the here it is. We're going to give you like the shipping names. Yeah, so they talk about how long it's going to take. They expect that the first wave to be fulfilled in July. Obviously, that's an estimate, but I don't know. I'm probably missing it, but I know for a fact that in one of the updates they mention that they say, "Oh, well, in like the next update or two, we're going to tell you like the ships names," which implies everything is literally ready to go. It's just sitting there and it just needs to get in a container on a boat. But then we get this update, update 62 that comes out, and that is not even close to what's going on. They're repacking boxes. That's like, like it's either a huge miscommunication or they're being incredibly naive in understanding the process of what the logistics and manufacturing partners were going to do, or there's just straight up lying. I'd prefer that it's not actually that last case, and that it's the former two, but it's super frustrating, and I can understand people being super pissed off at this. People talking about spending 300, 600 some dollars for this game, which granted, yeah, there's the COVID, delays and everything, and then of course, the other biggest issue being the logistics nightmare of 2020 and 2021 that basically the world has never seen before. But there's just, like, I don't know. It's super frustrating. I feel like the communication, it's there, but the quality is not there. And they're not being clear enough with how they're describing these. And just this update in general feels like it was super just thrown together the last second, and they were just like done. Like, oh, okay, well, we got it out, we checked the box, and that was it, right? I mean, we got the skill update here at the end just to give you something else, and then they send you the pictures. But even like Dragori has like their whole like structure that they've done in the past, where they talk about like, oh, here's the things we're going to talk about in this update, and they didn't even do that. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think, Code? Am I being ridiculous?
Well, one thing I would like to point out is if you kind of look at the updates since first one of this year back in January,
hmm
um, everyone talked about how great that update was because that was the timeline and had so much detail and everything.
Yeah, I think it's
And
update 50.
yes, it was update 50. And ever since then, the updates have kind of, I
Gone
don't want to
down
say
in quality.
fall down in quality, and at some point, I know it's some of them felt like they were repeating,
hmm
like topics and about the game and well more about Tanares Adventures. And really, one of the things that they talked about way back last year was about how the RPG book they didn't want to release it till Wave 1 was out.
hmm
And now that we have a date, I don't even know if we're gonna have Wave 1 by that point,
Yeah.
to be honest. And so now that people are getting more kind of pissed off in this sense, it's gonna make them think twice about putting more money on the table. Especially if that's gonna be, full pledges, it might be $200. I mean, I'm just speculating, but if you already spent, people are spending six, seven, maybe even close to 800, depending on shipping
Yeah, shipping costs for sure.
for your country, you're gonna think twice about putting another whatever it is for
Exactly, especially if you
book.
don't even have your stuff yet.
Right. You don't have, even though that's a 5e campaign, a lot of people haven't experienced arena contests and the quality of Dragori games,
Yeah.
you know. And if this is, these updates, even though they're just updates for the project, this is kind of, your window shopping, This shows the quality and stuff like that because this is all we got to go by.
Yeah.
We don't have anything else really.
Well, and I mean, I get the point about, pushing back the Kickstarter update, right? Because yeah, people would be pissed off to be like, "Hey, throw down more money, for, something that you don't even have the original thing," right? I mean, I've seen that in numerous other campaigns for other board game manufacturers before. So I mean that's good that they've pushed that back and eventually they gotta release that. But like yeah, like the point you're making here about this timeline: January manufacturing development, February manufacturing fulfillment development, March manufacturing fulfillment development, right? It just keeps going on of like, oh okay, this is a firm laid out schedule. It's very easy to follow. It provides quite a bit of information on when things are happening, what's going on, and then they just don't continue that at all. Like they could literally just copy paste this and like do updates, right?
Right.
And then write that in. And I even personally myself has messaged Grigori saying, hey, you guys should take the timeline you have and give us an update based on that. And I haven't heard essentially like a response directly to that statement. So, but it's just another point that I'm trying to bring up of poor communication is going to lead to people being angrier and angrier that this delay is happening, right? And they say that they're being transparent, which I think they're trying to do the best they can. I talked to Alex about this, I think last week, about they get information from the manufacturers and the logistic partners, and then they say, okay, well we're going to meet this date, and then they get to that date, and then maybe they get an email and they say, oh sorry, the timeline's completely changed, right? Which is fine, right? That's going to keep that it happens, right? And it's been happening a lot, but at least provide a real clear, structured view of what's going on with the campaign instead of poorly written updates that basically just say, well, it's not coming and we really have no clue as to when it's coming. Um, but here's something about the skill trees, so there's that.
I mean that it's also to the point where it's like I don't even want to see Tanares until we get this wave one
Yeah.
thing kind of situated because they've talked about skill trees. I think this is like the third time that they've shown the skill tree as it's progressed.
Well, and it's
Um,
actually worse because he says in the update that essentially they're completely reworking the skill tree.
right. So,
So it's like, hey, we got an update on the skill tree. We trashed it and we're restarting.
which just kind of scares me because I would rather them get to the point where it's the final prototype
Yeah.
or it's finalized before you're showing this to me because I mean I just noticed this now. There's like a new number on there. If you notice, there's
Mm-hmm.
health and all, I don't even know what that is. I think it's a
Exactly. Well, I think the new number there I think says what does that say? I thought it said roll, but it looks like something else. And
like
it's really hard to
reaction.
see. Reaction?
Looks like reaction.
That's what
Maybe
it
you
yeah,
get
it does look like.
something with if you get hit, you get to make your move. I know that was the enemies. Maybe it applies to the
Yeah.
your character. Anyway, that's besides the point. But you know,
I mean, even this doesn't really even describe what's going on in this change to the skill tree either, right? Like it's like it basically just says we've made a patch to change the development so it's easier to follow and blah blah blah, and but we're not really going to describe it that much.
right? It seems like they're still like working on this new skill tree. It wasn't even close to being
Yeah.
100% done. So
So I mean, even still, this, like I said, this is a minor part of it. Of course, the community itself has been pretty kind of divided in some ways. So, right, there's kind of the people in the camp of, well, this is Kickstarter. Kickstarters, they take, a long amount of time to produce and make, and they're pretty much always late. And even myself, I think I've only ever had one campaign that was actually like on time or early. But it, so you have those people that it just takes a long time, and oh, it's a Kickstarter. You're not actually, it's not a shop, right? You're investing in a company, which is all points. And then on the other side, You have people that are pissed off that they see other companies that have similar timelines. And one of the examples that came up is what was it? Nemesis Lockdown? Is that what it is?
One was Nemesis, a lot of people were talking about. I
Let's see
think
if
it's
it's
shipped out. But I mean, this is the
yeah.
problem. I
So
mean,
Nemesis, yeah, Lockdown here, and people getting all the Wave One content for that already. I mean, they're behind as well, but it doesn't seem like it's as much. And so, of course, there's people are always going to compare, like, oh man, how the hell are they getting this out? But Dragori just keeps saying that it's just sitting there. There is good points to that. Like, why exactly? Because we're doing it. The community has been doing it in the Facebook chat. They've been doing it in Discord. They've been doing it in Kickstarter. And Dragori hasn't said anything, right?
not even. I mean that too. And I just thought about this. I mean, they're showing pictures all of the boxes in the warehouse. This company's gonna want those to get out of there eventually.
Yeah, because that's
They
taking
got,
up their space.
and they have other projects. If you know Starry, they're big manufacturer for a lot of these games.
Yep.
So, and the other thing is when people finally do get their wave one, it better be perfect. Like there shouldn't be pieces missing, and that's
Well,
something else.
yeah, you
It,
bring up a really good point there too. And this is because, we've gotten the sample content for boss versus boss. And so we got to see some of the cards and the boss pads and stuff like that. And I already, like, literally within seconds of
you found
seeing
mistakes.
one of the new boss pads, I already found mistakes in it. And it was very frustrating, especially because, we have this giant community that's freaking fantastic. We got almost 500 people that love this game enough that they want to, like, literally be on the internet just to talk about just this game. And and they, of course, Dragori has their own play testers and everything, but as far as I know, they don't have any actual official like playtesting from the community, which is actually different from other games out there. My wife's friend, she's had manufacture, so she likes playing like I think some of the Exploding Kitten games. They've contacted her about trying out some new games that they're working on. I know Frosthaven, for example. There's a lot of people in their community that they're doing, not huge play testing, but some limited play testing on exploring the game and making sure people like it. Um, but we've gotten a little, like a tiny little taste. But like for example with this boss versus boss, the most frustrating thing is we've only seen this now after it's already produced. It's already done. It's boxed up. It's ready to go. There's literally nothing they can change other than like an electronic version to send out to people.
And that's the thing I'm surprised they didn't do is contact a third party tester. I mean,
Yeah,
there's companies out there that do testing for all sorts of products, but there's game ones too, I'm sure.
exactly. I mean, even if
But
they don't want to use the community, that's fine. But you know, like I said, it literally took me seconds to see a mistake.
yeah, and that's pretty scary considering, you know, this
And this
that's a
is a
new
tiny thing.
yeah, that's and now that's small. I mean, that if you think about it compared to the rest of the game,
Yeah,
the boss versus boss is a small component.
exactly.
So
So I see that there's a bunch of people in Twitch and YouTube. If you guys do have any comments of your own that you'd like to have us discuss or questions or just want to vent it out, feel free to post comments as well as we're talking about this. Definitely, I want to have an open conversation, all viewpoints. Nobody should feel like they're, going to be censored or that, we're against against what we're talking about. But so I don't know. I've been doing a lot of bashing, but at the same time, there is still a lot of good things. There is a lot of things that are out of their control, essentially. And some of that's a little bit questionable, right? Like for example, is there really anything that they could do to try to push on manufacturers or logistic partners to, try to get some of this cleaned up or get it going quicker? I mean, I don't know. Uh, it
It's
theoretically it's possible. How likely it is right now, I don't know. One other good point I want to bring up, and I'm going to look in the chat here for a second so you can keep going, but it's a really good uh, update from a different Kickstarter campaign that one of our community members posted, and it brings up essentially a really good, you know, view of what is actually going on in the logistics world right now.
mm,
So I will bring it up right here. This is for Unsettled the board game. This is update number 28. They're talking about their board game and working on developing it and their components. Specifically, we're going to skip all that because that's specific to this game. But we're going to talk about this here. I mean, I guess I can just read it, but it is non-essential thoughts. There are not words to describe how excited we are to step in the next phase of this journey. Holding these boxes, feeling the thick pieces, using real trays, playing with finalized cards. We are deeply satisfied with how this project has turned out. That all that's left now is the best part. Watching your experience come pouring back to us as you receive your copy and share it with your playgroup. Thank you for your continued enthusiasm, positive attitude. Never during any of 2020's heavy mood did we feel anything other than joy and warmth from the community. We're beyond grateful. Since this month update, we mostly just eye candy, blah blah blah. But international freight and shipping is really as crazy right now as everyone's saying it is. Most of these questions have the air of being partly curious and behind the scenes stuff and partly wanting to have quiet little worries addressed. Thankfully, you can put these worries aside. We've been wonderfully fortunate over the past few months, fortunate enough to have partners to work tirelessly to help us sidestep holes and plow through hazards. Fortunate enough to have a team who are all committed to endlessly babysitting every detail to foresee issues before they arise. And fortunate in the wow, we're very fortunate that went that way it did sense. With that in mind, we offer observations for those who find them interesting. Some of them may seem dramatic, and they kind of are, but please don't take this as any expression of melodrama from us. This is just part of the job, and it's the job we feel deeply blessed to get to do each day. But people have asked, and we think is valuable to the community. Things have gone smooth for us that very easily could have not. This is a good season for us to soften our hearts, have grace, patience, a massive heap of understanding towards campaigns and people trying to make things on the world stage. The short answer is yes, it's madness out there, almost comically so. Things are congested, confused, absolutely everything takes several times longer than it normally does, and the cost of things have risen 3 to 5 times. There are a mix of reasons. COVID shutdowns creating a backlog, bottlenecks that will take years to smooth out. A massive percentage of the world's cargo containers come from India, which is suffering significant COVID complications, so these containers are out of circulation. Meanwhile, sales in many industries are through the roof, and people are scrambling to meet the demands and seize the moment. That means more shipping trying to occur in less containers. The impeding EU tax changes are incentivizing a rush to get things into Europe before the changes take effect. Quick note, apparently the changes, there's not actually changes, it's that they're just really enforcing rules that they haven't really enforced before, but they now are. All right, continued. And not insignificantly, humans are involved and sometimes make questionable decisions. It's wild everywhere, but particularly in ocean freight, it's very hard to make bookings. Seriously, very hard. Then, when you can make them, they're weeks or months out. Then, as the load date draws near, the booking is often canceled without explanation. Oh, and no one tells you it was canceled. If you're being vigilant and checking and catch that it's canceled and contact the carrier to ask why, ha, they've never heard of you nor of your shipment. Also, they don't exist, and this has all been a dream. Imagine you're talking to someone on the phone and they go quiet and ask you, "Hey, are you there?" And then there's a long pause, and they say no and hang up. Carriers are booking their ships and leaving stuff they can't fit on the docks and not telling anyone. Other times, carriers get proactive, creative, and just load things onto different ships than planned, and no one finds out until the intended ship arrives without your cargo, and they say, "Oh yeah, it's one of those other ships." Someone will totally get around to telling you which one here shortly. Dot dot. There isn't enough equipment to unload and load things fast enough. Everything's so overcrowded that containers get spread out into the roadways to make room for loading, which stops traffic and keeps shipments from reaching the port. Ships are cramming in the wrong lanes on the ocean, causing weird bottlenecks, delays, and detours, which then can result in ships cramming in the wrong lanes. Sorry, I reread that. Timetables mean almost nothing. Remember, there are estimated to be 6,000 cargo ships operating on the sea at any given moment. All of this was already a Herculean task, requiring close management by very hardworking people to keep things running anything close to smoothly. Add all the above chaos to the mix, and things go sideways quickly and easily. Truly kooky bananas time on global scale. Even the most grizzled veterans of the ocean freight and logistics worlds concede they've never seen anything like this. They are also, if they're pro, just shrugging and plowing forward with an unfazed, we've got this attitude. Let's remember, every campaign is made up of humans, whether they're hugely competent, hardworking, unlucky, or over their heads and kind of blowing it. All are people. Let's treat them as such, and we can guarantee that these campaigns out there will be delivering quite a bit later than they have been anticipating through absolutely no fault of their own. Let's remember that they are devastated by this and give them some empathy. All right, so that is the long update there. Sorry if you were watching that, but I just really wanted to make sure that was covered in this update because that was a fantastic post that was shared with us. Thanks, Luck Dragon, for posting that. I think it does provide quite a bit of context to what's going on, and I just wanted to be able to bring up, essentially both sides, right? And so this same kind of things happened to Dragori, and is this completely their fault? We don't know. It's hard to say if it's their fault or their partner's fault, or maybe it's just no fault, and this is just, it just happened to be this way. Um, I'm gonna read some questions here as what's your thoughts on this code?
I mean, I think that was an excellent oversight of what's really going on out there. I mean, obviously it's not down to the detail, but you get the idea from that. And it's like you said, it's you don't know if it's Dragori's fault, you know, their partners or whoever. So it's kind of you gotta have some patience with this. We just got through a pandemic that the world has never dealt with before.
Well, and I'd like to
Really,
clarify too that the through pandemic really kind of only applies to certain countries, right? Because some
right?
countries are actually doing better, and there's plenty of other countries that are still very much in the thick of it right now, or dealing with other variants that are significantly worse, like India, for example.
Right. I mean, I know where I am in the United States, COVID's almost like a second thought, almost getting to, and like we got over it almost. But in other countries, they're still neck deep in that problem.
Exactly.
So you gotta have to understand that the whole world's not on the same playing field, depending on where you are in the world. You might be experiencing worse things, you might not be. So,
Yeah. So Convict Six says he's joined in but missed the discussion. But was wondering if the boxes are on a boat or they're still putting together. What's going on? So basically, what we're saying is, yeah, they have the boxes all together from the two different manufacturers, and it seems like they're packing things together to send out on the boats in the future, but it's not on a boat. It's still in the manufacturer's hands and actually hasn't left. Or actually, it could be a logistics partner. I mean, even that part's kind of unclear, right? They're
Yeah,
assembling orders, but that's about all we know. So anyway, I just wanted to try to make sure we're covering both sides of, or well, not even both sides, right? Because this isn't like a two-sided issue, but
that's a 600-sided issue.
yeah, different perspectives of people that are really angry with what's going on, and then people trying to, give them a little more grace and understand, what's going on and why this is probably still just sitting there, even after months of saying that it's going to be out, right? I mean, the according to Update 50, which we talked about earlier, was said March was when it was supposed to
Right.
like start leaving, and now it's beginning of June and it still hasn't left. And even still, like the last thing I heard too was, oh well, they're repacking this and then hopefully like this next week or two they'll be sending it out, and that still potentially doesn't seem like the case.
It's up in the air.
It's really up in the air and it's just hard to say. So anyway, I hope Dragori does actually see this so they can get kind of a feeling of how the community is feeling. I'll just say in general, if you're in Discord and you're discussing this, just please try to stay respectful in your posts. Try not to personally attack people, because that doesn't, it doesn't help, right? There's not, as someone else also said, there's not really a lot we really can do. So there's no point in trying to attack people over this whole thing. We're just, doing what we can and hoping that we get the game as soon as we can. So yeah, but you're definitely feel free to express your opinions. Just keep it respectful is the most important part.
The only other thing I think to add is you could look at this half glass full type deal. At least you know that your wave ones have been made.
Yep,
This wasn't they took your money and you got nothing. So it's sitting right now. So
yep. It's that is another good point there. It could be. Uh, I mean, they could have ran off with the money essentially, right?
yeah,
I mean,
you know,
that has happened in other Kickstarters before where people put money down and then that's it. Like they make up some stories about what's going on. Oh yeah, this manufacturer was going to make this and then they screwed me and blah blah blah, and yeah, now you're not getting your stuff and it's all on them and then you don't hear anything anymore.
and and you're not getting a refund either.
Yeah,
Or so
exactly.
yeah,
So, yeah, it's a tough time right now in the logistics world, and hopefully it'll get better. I'm sure you guys are all getting pretty worn here about talking about this and ready to just start playing the game. So if you are interested, we do have the tabletop simulator mod that you can kind of get a little bit of that fix with. If you want to play digitally, we do have a lot of people in the community you can play with that still is very fun. I mean, heck, you can even try the sample of the dragon or the boss versus boss mode as well, which is still pretty new. So yeah, there's still positives out there. Don't want it to make it sound like it's all negative here. We can still play the game, some and talk about it. RPG campaign does have a date, and that's I think about all I wanted to talk about for today. Anything else you got, Code?
no, just guys keep it respectful in the chats and to each other, and the game will get to you. Don't worry. It's just it's gonna take
Yeah,
a little bit of time. So
yeah, it'll get there, guys, and
it's gonna
I'm
make it.
I'm just somebody on the internet, right? But I've played quite a bit, and the core box of the campaign is definitely worth it. You're gonna enjoy the game for sure. And hopefully Dragori can improve their communication going forward. I might try contacting them again if they don't see this video, but hopefully we'll all make it through, everyone. So everyone have a good night, and we'll see you at the next one.